Good evening, world. I want to tell you the truth about a horrific hate crime and disaster that happened to a local parish in my area, to their Adoration Chapel, which is one that I've visited frequently. I want to tell the truth about this because we should be held up. Our shame should be held up. We should be held up as an example to the world of what not to do, of how not to betray the Lord. And because we were playing Russian roulette with the Blessed Sacrament, frankly. That Adoration Chapel in Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania, in the Diocese of Allentown, at the St. Teresa of Calcutta parish, was a 24/7 Adoration Chapel for 43 years until last week when we had to close, and I don't know if and when we're going to reopen. I think we'll reopen, but I don't know so far is the hours and the availability, because it's going to be quite an uphill battle getting that chapel running again. What happened is that for years and years, I don't know how long, but for the 4 years that I've been visiting that chapel, I observed that our Lord was left alone in the Blessed Sacrament 75% of the time in the Monstrance, with no doors, no one guarding him, protecting him. Just that sacrilege. 75% of the day, sacrilege, year after year. Because, I would go, as often as I could, and if I was in the area, and there would never be anybody there. Or somebody would come briefly. They wouldn't make a whole holy hour. They come in for a little while. So, because there was no one running an active adoration program that was scheduling the doors, that was making sure that there were at least one or two people there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is a big task. It takes like 250 people to adequately staff every hour of a week. And unfortunately, from what I was told, this parish, it's an old parish. It's a small parish. The citizen, they're all the parishioners are elderly, and they're just dying in droves. So I don't know, but our Lord was left alone there for I don't know how many years, and then finally, a bad actor showed up a week ago, Tuesday, May 6th, 9 p.m., with what police think was a quarter stick of dynamite, and he had been stalking the chapel for a few days and tested out the motion detection sensors that there was signage about around the altar. There was a clear sign that there was an alarm and motion detection. So he waved his arms around a bit one day and tested it out, and figured out that he could place the dynamite not right in front of the monstrance, which was bolted to the altar, but off a little bit to the side and not trigger the alarms, although the explosion certainly did. Unfortunately, they caught his stupid butt very quickly after that, later that night, apparently. So, as he was on security footage, I guess he didn't realize that there was camera footage and not just a motion detection motion detection center, or I can't speak tonight, sensor. But part of the monstrance was damaged. Huge hole in the altar was blown, the ceiling tiles. 3 stained glass windows in the vicinity were blown, like not entirely apart, but they were damaged, and they're not repairable. They're not fixable at all. A beautiful statue of Our Lady was damaged, some other things, and worst of all, our Lord was actually blown from the monstrance by the force of the blast. So fortunately, this guy wasn't smart enough to actually take him out of the monstrance, and but he would have, of course, he would have set off the motion detection, so I guess he couldn't do that. But fortunately, our Lord was not destroyed, but he was desecrated. He was blown from the monstrance. The little glass, I think they call it a luna, was, I guess, shattered or some such. I don't know what. And fortunately, he was recovered. Somebody found him on the floor somewhere. And we did this. This is our fault. It's partly my fault, partly my shame too. I feel so guilty because, year after year I'd visit and never say anything about the wrong that I saw there, about, no scheduling, our Lord being left alone. And one person I wouldn't have made a difference complaining, but I didn't have to be complicit. I could have said something. Everybody who visited that chapel could have said something. So, and now that, nobody wanted to step up and organize something either, but now I'm devastated enough, even though this is, a drive for me, and it's not my parish, and it's not even my primary adoration by any stretch, and it's, sacrifice. But I'm devastated enough, and that, I'm going to try. I volunteered, and it looks like I'm going to be the one that's trying to get a program up and running so that we can reopen the chapel. And that'll be an uphill battle, as well it should be, because we don't deserve, after the way our Lord was treated, we don't deserve to have him back there in our presence for us to come and visit with him anytime we want, 24/7. We don't deserve to have him at all in an adoration chapel, after the way he was treated. So yeah, somebody's got to step up, and it's going to be very challenging to find hundreds of adorers in a dying Catholic area. But I wanted to tell the truth. If you see our Lord being mistreated in other adoration chapels, being left alone, say something. Don't be complicit. If anybody listens to this video, I'd kindly ask you to say a prayer of reparation to our Lord for what happened. Maybe even want to pray for the soul of that total monster who did this. I mean, this 32-year-old guy, Kyle Kuczynski. Presumably he's a Satanist, because only Satanists hate the Blessed Sacrament enough to attack it. Nobody else ever does. It's only them. So, I mean, in his mugshot, he's got this ugly, big Jason t-shirt on, big Jason mask, and he clearly idolizes darkness. So this is almost certainly a case of, demonic influence, of possible possession. Definitely demonic influence, infestation. This guy's, he's toast. He's toast if you don't convert. So, thank you much for listening. Don't be like us. If you see something, say something. Don't be complicit. Good night. God bless all.